There are 18.3 million reasons for men across America to get off the sidelines and get involved. According to the America First Policy Initiative, that's the number of homes and young boys who grow up without a father, making the need for mentorship of urgent importance. The Institute also reports that 80% of single-parent households these days across the country are ran by single moms. For Nico Lagan, he says, without purpose, a man's life is meaningless. He grew up without a father and, for all intensive purposes, he had to figure out life from a male perspective all on his own. And now, as an adult, he's on a mission to ensure that men use their voices and purpose to make a difference in young men's lives in order to put a dent in the lack of prosperity experienced by young adolescent boys. And professionally, Lagan is committed to helping male content creators go viral by using the Alpha Creator Blueprint on both Instagram and TikTok. All of Lagan's efforts have one goal in mind: to make sure that men level up in all aspects of their lives and that they're the protector and provider for their families. He's also into martial arts now for over 20 years. He has a very practical and no-nonsense way of viewing life, its liberties, and everything in between. He also hosts a controversial yet informative podcast, which bears his name. In today's society, having raw, open, authentic, and honest conversations about masculinity can sometimes be a lost art. Therefore, I'm pleased to bring you my conversation with Lagan right about now. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Nico, if you are ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program. I'm delighted to be with you this morning to learn all about your life and professional journey, my friend. Great to see you this morning, and thank you for a few minutes.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here, brother.
Absolutely. Now, Nico, I know you're someone who says without a purpose, a man's life is meaningless. So I'm wondering, why do you believe in adopting that mantra, and what does that mean to you, my friend?
I don't think it's a mantra. I think it's a truth. I think it's something that was known forever. It's just that unfortunately we're not teaching it to kids anymore. We're not teaching it to our men anymore. Because it could be as simple as look at the depression rate that you're seeing in men today. I put you to the challenge, and anybody listening to this, I put them to the challenge to go ask anybody that feels depressed what their purpose are. Why were they put on this planet? And I guarantee you that none of them know. And on the flip side, I have never met somebody that has purpose that is depressed.
Yeah, it's important to have meaning in life because it gives you a definition of purpose, isn't it?
Yeah, And you know what? Unlike popular demand, when it comes to purpose, it doesn't necessarily need to be a great purpose as in extraordinary. Like a lot of us believe that our purpose, we have this we have this belief that we are all extremely special. Yet at the end of the day, we're more alike than we are different. Like I think they say that we agree on 80 to 90% of things. It's really we get in battles over the 10%. But what I'm saying is that if we all understand that we are not as special as we believe we are individual and we're special in our own right. Our purpose does not need to be extraordinary. For a man, his purpose could be as simple as being a leader to his family, being a protector, being a provider, putting his family first. For most men, this is what their purpose in life is, and to teach their kids to be good people and be the disciplinary person that they need, be there to guide them. And this in itself, can you imagine if most men were still in the family nucleus? Like think about the family in the 50s and the 60s where men and women were still together, raising kids together. Kids grew up to be better. Kids grew up to be better people because both parents were there. And I'm not blaming men, I'm not blaming women, I'm just stating facts that this could be as simple as this for a man. His purpose could be just as simple as being what his family needs him to be, put his family first before himself.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nico, I know for your day job, you help male creators grow their audience and help them go viral by using the Alpha Creator Blueprint, my friend. So I'm wondering if you can tell me all about it and why you're so passionate about the work that you do.
Well, I believe in men trying to help other men be better. At the end of the day, this is my purpose. This is the reason why I'm on this earth, is to help men be better, become better, have guidelines needed to become better men. And as someone that's been creating content for 3.5 years now, and I've been doing it full time for over a year now, I know how hard it is for men to compete for the attention on social media when, unfortunately, if you look at the algorithm, we're being pushed half-naked women, we're being pushed content that regards stupidity, that has no value in itself except for entertainment. So I know firsthand what it feels like to not get the views on your content when your message should be helping people, or your message would help people if only you could get a reach, if only you could get a hold of them. So this is why I've developed a whole methodology that I've learned over the past 3.5 years in order to put some type of process in place so that for them to understand that creating content is not enough. You need to know how to create that content. You need to know how to grab people's attention. You need to know how to speak to your audience. You need to know their pains. You need to know what keeps them up at night. You need to be able to convince them that you are the person that can help them. You need to know which type of content needs to be posted on which platform, at what time, in which situation, because TikTok is different from Instagram, that's different from Facebook, that's different from YouTube, that's different from Rumble, Twitter, that's different from anything Meta has put out there. So there needs to be an understanding as to what to post, when to post it, on which platform to post it, and how is that content being recorded, and what's the message that you have in there. And you also need to have what we call for actions. I'm a sales engineer by trade. So what I've done for years is explain extremely complicated technical terms to my clients in a very simple way. I simplify complicated programs, complicated technologies and I simplify it. This is what I do. So this is why I think it's so important, because men need help. It's hard for us to compete, and I want to help them compete for the attention and get the attention that they deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in that vein, Nico, I'm curious to know what do you think is the key to creating attractable content that leaves a mark to an audience as a male content creator? What do you think the key is there?
Well, there's a Bible, for lack of a better term, on how to create. To me, creating content is a science. I know why I create, exactly why I create, and what the intent is. But to simplify it, think about this. Well, you know what? Let me ask you a question. What do you think when you're looking at a piece of content, whatever it is? Let's say you're looking at reels on Instagram or on TikTok. What is the number one thing that is the most important when it comes to that reel, in order for you as the watcher to keep on watching? What's the most important thing that the content creator needs to make sure for you to pay attention?
Solving a problem or giving me a solution to something that I'm dealing with. Yeah.
That's the reason why you would follow him, not necessarily the reason you would watch the reel. This is what you're saying is absolutely true. But if you're just watching a reel to watch a reel, the fact that he can help you or not is irrelevant, because maybe you're just going to watch the reel, like it, and call it a day. But the number one thing, and this is something that most people out there don't understand, the number one thing that will grab people's attention is the sound quality. If your sound is garbage, people will not listen to you no matter how great your message is. You could have the best video quality. If your sound is scratchy, it sounds like you're recording it in a bathtub, it sounds like you're really recording it on speakerphone on your cell phone, people will not pay attention to you. Then you have the video, then you have the hook. You need to be able to say something that will grab people's attention, or else people won't listen. We have, as per science, we have somewhere around 6 seconds of attention span, which is down almost 20% in the past 20 years. It's been down between 20 to 30% over 20 years. This is why reels are so popular. This is why reel are the most popular type of content out there, because it's very good at grabbing people's attention and delivering a message extremely fast that will appeal to that audience.
Yeah, and Nico, I'm curious, when you work with people to sort of manage the content that they're putting out, well, what do you think is the number one thing you help them realize if they're a novice content creator or they're doing it for the first time?
You know what? One of the first misconception out there is the type of equipment that you need. Like right now, for some reason, my camera is dead. So I'm using my laptop camera, which I would never do normally. But I create most of my content right now, like 80% of my content, 90% of my content is done off my phone. People think that we need thousands and thousands of dollars in order to create good content, yet most of my content is with this. And often I don't even need an external microphone, because the microphones on these are very good nowadays, and there's ways to remove the noise with simple applications on your phone. So this is one of the biggest misconceptions, that you need thousands and thousands of dollars, yet you have a cell phone, and nowadays the cameras on the cell phone are great. You can easily use that. You can easily use the microphone that's on there. And if that's not enough, you can get a $150 external microphone that works great, that I use all the time. So you don't need extremely expensive equipment in order to produce high level quality content. This is one of the first things that I teach my clients. But as someone that comes from 12 years of high-end sales, I can tell you that having the capacity of creating rapport with the people that you talk to. So you need to be able to interact, to be able to speak through the camera to the people that are your audience. You need to captivate their interest. You need to convince them that you are the person to help them. And this, I will say, is my strength, because I've had to do this for more than a decade with extremely large customers in both Canada and the US. I built the skills to get people's attention, to know how to speak to people. Because if you're a content creator that's selling a service, coaching program, whatever your intents are with your content creation, you're a salesperson. At the end of the day, you are trying to convince people that you're great and that they need to listen to you. This is what you're doing. However, it doesn't even matter what you're selling at the end of the day. All that matters is that you realize that you are a salesperson.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Nico, I wanted to ask you about your upbringing as well, because you said that you weren't given sort of the male figure in your life, and that caused you to make some questionable decisions before you turned your life around. So tell me about your upbringing and why it inspires you to be the person you are today.
You're very polite by saying questionable. That is not the word I normally use. I use an F-bomb normally to describe the mistakes that I've done. But yeah, I've taken a lot of questionable decisions. And, men at the end, boys, men, young men want somebody to teach them what it is to be a man. They want to have mentors. They want to have guides. That's something that is in our DNA. We want to be shown what it is to be a man. And, my dad left when I was 14. I saw him a handful of time before he died. And I think it had been 9 years since I saw him when he died. And, this leaves a mark on a young man, sent me on a really bad path, as you said, of questionable decisions, which lasted almost 7 years, until one day I got a simple call from my mother that asked me a simple question: are you happy with your life? And, sometimes all you need is to be challenged. And not sometimes. Most people need to be challenged all the time. Have somebody in their lives that's going to keep them accountable. And that's exactly what she did. She just asked me a question that forced me. I was ready to listen. I was at that place in my life that I was listening and was paying attention. And that question basically made me realize that I wasn't happy. I was not happy with my life. And you've seen the analogy of somebody at a crossroad, knowing that if they go left, they continue doing what they're doing, but it's only going to get worse. Or if they go right, they can try something else to better themselves, better their life, better the life of their family. And this is what happened to me. I was literally at that crossroad, and I took a decision. I was faced with a decision. So I decided to change my life. So I went back to school. I had dropped out of school. I was 15 years old. So I didn't even have 3 years of high school by the time I was 20 years old. So I left. I quit all of my friends. I left everything behind. I stopped drinking. I stopped doing drugs. I stopped smoking. I stopped hanging out with all the wrong people. I went back to school. I got my high school diploma. Then I found a fast tracked college degree, like something that I finished in 18 months, and I started my career in telecommunications afterwards. So that was the first time I owned to my mistake and said, you know what, I need to do better. I discovered the gym. I discovered martial arts, which I've been involved in both for 20 years now. And yeah, when I left my corporate job last year, I was a sales engineer for one of the biggest telecommunication companies in Canada. And I was the only non-engineer in my team. Although they called me an engineer, I'm not. By trade, I'm not. But I was paid as one, and I had the background experience as one. So yeah, this is when it all started, when I turned about 20 or 21.
Yeah, I'm curious to ask you your thoughts on how men who may be watching or listening to this can really take ownership of their lives, because I think it's a personal decision to really invest in the process of you, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, it's the most selfless, it's the most selfish thing you'll ever do. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. Selfish means yourself, you're taking care of yourself. And sometimes you do need to be selfish. But the first realization is really to accept the fact that you are flawed, that you are probably full of excuses, and that if your life sucks, it's your fault. If you don't like where you are in your life, chances are it's your fault. It's a hard realization for most people to admit to themselves, because owning to this is heartbreaking, because you realize that what happened to you in your life is consequences to your actions and decisions. Same thing as me. When I was 20, I didn't choose for my father to leave, but I chose to quit school. I chose to do drugs. I chose to become an alcoholic. I chose to do all the wrong things. And without admitting this to myself, to say it is my fault, there's no moving forward. It's a hard realization, but it needs to be done. Because this is the thing that I believe that people don't realize is, yes, it's your fault, but that also means that you hold the power to change. If you are capable of messing up your life, that means on the flip coin that you have all the power in the world to make it better. It is all on you and nobody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Nico, I want to talk about masculinity and really coming up with a definition of in today's society, because you say that masculinity is under attack and you're on a mission to create strong and vibrant men to really move the needle of societal progress forward. So tell me about your view of masculinity today, and how we can make sure that really men level up in both their personal and professional lives as well.
Well, to me, there's 5 virtues to a good man. There's 5 virtues a good man holds. First, he must be courageous. He must have the balls to go after what he wants, to go after what he needs to go after. He needs to have the courage to do it, to do whatever it is that needs to get done. He needs to have the courage to do it. That doesn't mean that you're scared, that you're not scared. That simply means that you can move forward while being scared. That's all courage means. Then he needs to become a protector, because men have always been the first and last line of defense for any families, for any communities, for any societies. We are bigger, we are stronger, we are more agile, we are risk takers. We are meant to protect. And if you're somebody that has a family or that will have a family, this will be your role. Your role will be to protect your wife, to protect your children. So that means that you need to get in shape. You need to take care of your body. You need to learn martial arts. You need to train yourself to become better, treat your body as a machine and treat it as you would your car. Because most people today, last time I checked, it was 42% of Americans, adult Americans, are obese and 30% are overweight, leaving 28% of people to be in okay shape. Not athletes, but to be in okay shape. And this is extremely problematic. So first off, take control of your body. Make sure that you're capable. Treat your body. Stop treating your body like a dumpster and treat it with the respect that it deserves. At least the respect you give to your cars, because most of us treat our cars better than we do our body. Then learn how to fight, because it will be your role to defend your family. Then the third virtue of a good man is to be a provider. Your family expects you to take care of them, both monetarily and emotionally. You need to be able to create an environment at home where your kids are safe, When it comes outside of the door, outside of that front door, there's no such thing as a safe space. But at home, it is the job of a man to provide his family so that they can have a great space to live in. Because nobody learns in survival mode. If all you do is survive, that's all you think about is where my next meal is going to come from. Where's the next money to pay my rent's going to come from? So you need to be able to make enough money so that your family is in an environment of growth and not survival. Fourth, he needs to have temperance. You need to get control over your emotions. You cannot let your emotions control you. You need to control your emotions. At the end of the day, you control three things in your life: your emotions, your actions, and your reactions. That all falls under temperance. You have to master yourself if you want to be able to accomplish everything that you need to accomplish. Because if you do not master yourself, you're easily controllable. If all somebody needs to do is cut you off in traffic and you are losing control, that means one day you'll make a mistake. You'll make a mistake that could be extremely, it could be very painful mistake. How many times have you, manslaughter exists for one single reason? That is a spur of the moment. Something happened in the spur of the moment because most of the time that person was angry. That means that you need to control your emotion, be tempered so that you're not easily controllable by other people. And the fifth virtue of a good man is to have faith. Faith, to me, can be divided in three different sections. First, you must have faith in order to be able to develop self-confidence. If you don't first believe that you are capable of accomplishing something, you'll never develop confidence. So without faith, it's impossible. Two, you must have faith in others. If you want to develop new relationship, if you want to be able to depend on other people, you need to have faith that they are the person they say they are. And three, you must have faith in something bigger than yourself. Call it God, call it nature, call it the universe, however you choose to call it. I call it God, but you can call it whatever you want. But if you do not believe that you were put on this planet for a reason, there's no way you'll ever find your true purpose. And as you said earlier, without purpose, a man's life is meaningless.
Yeah, absolutely. Nico, I'm gonna share just a little bit about myself. So, but I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. Simply means that I don't have enough oxygen in my legs to walk normally. But I have made the decision in my life to celebrate life and really celebrate the contributions that I have been put on the earth to teach other people. So I'm curious to ask you about your definition of perseverance and tenacity and what that means to you.
I don't think I need to explain it. You're the exact definition right there. I don't think I need to go any further than that. How many people that are affected by the same illness as you are that just give up?
Well, yeah, and it's important to have a vision for your life, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're all placed on Earth to make a meaningful difference, in my view. So I'm
100%.
curious to ask you about how we carve out a vision for our life to make sure that we live a meaningful existence, because it's different for all of us, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah, we all have a different purpose. Absolutely. Some of us might have the same, but it might take a different form. But the only way, in my opinion, that you can find what that purpose is by spending time by yourself with no distraction. Before embarking on this I've been on the road right now with my girlfriend in an RV for a year now. We've been traveling all over the States. We've been through, I think, 22 states up to now. And prior to that, I lived in the woods for about 2.5 years. And 1.5 year of that 2.5, I was alone with my dogs. So this is really where I found my life purpose, is by removing the distractions from around me and starting to spend time by myself and questioning myself, because I strongly believe that we all know deep down what our purpose is. We've always known, but we don't listen to ourselves. We're so distracted by everything. Everything has become a distraction that people don't spend time with themselves, being bored, questioning themselves, and above all, listening to themselves. We question everything, but we never pay attention to what we're trying to tell ourselves, what our subconscious mind is trying to tell our conscious mind. So I would say that the number one thing somebody can do, and I would recommend that to every listener out there, is if you don't know what your purpose is in life, book a 2 weeks vacation, rent a cabin in the middle of nowhere, leave your phone at home. If you have a dog, bring him with you and bring books that you've always wanted to read. That's it. That's all. Just go there by yourself. No alcohol, no drugs, no things to change your mind that will alter your mind. Just go by yourself and spend time by yourself being bored. And I will guarantee you that removing those distractions will give you a new outlook on what you are. Because most of us attach who we are with what we do. Ask somebody what they are. Hey, what do you, right away they're like, oh, I'm a sales engineer. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm that. But they never answer the question as to what they are as a human being. They always answer the question as to what they do. So spend time with yourself. Be bored. Go a week or two in the woods in a cabin, and I guarantee you'll build insight as to what is your purpose. What's the reason for you for being here?
Yeah, absolutely. And Nico, I'm curious to ask you from a personal perspective, how do you think your faith and your love of martial arts has really created a competitive advantage for you personally in life?
To me, martial art forged me as a man. If it wasn't for martial art, I would not be where I am today, and there's no questions about it. And this is where my courage comes from, because when I was younger, I was bullied, and I was a victim. I was a coward. I did not defend myself. I didn't know how, and I was too scared to do anything. So for years, this stayed in the back of my head. It always stayed with me. I knew deep down that I was a coward. And it's not until my 20s where I discovered martial arts, where I made the conscious decision to say, I will not be a coward anymore. Because I have two choices. I can remain a victim and a coward, or I can do something about it. So I chose to do something about it. And I started learning martial arts. Before I knew it, I found Muay Thai. My coach was putting me into a ring to fight other people. I became an amateur champion in Iowa. And you know what? I built courage. That doesn't mean I'm not scared anymore. That simply means that my fears are not going to stop me from doing what I want to do. So martial art taught me that I wasn't made out of glass, that I was a lot tougher than I thought, that I was a lot more courageous than I thought. And it also taught me discipline. It taught me the value of a team, because if you're part of a gym and you're fighting people, you need to depend on other people to help you. And the other way is true. You need to be there for other training partners that need your help. So yeah, martial art as a whole completely changed me. I don't there's no way I would be doing what I'm doing today, that I would have the confidence to do what I'm doing today, to have been selling $1 million contracts in my old job, to now traveling the country in an RV, running my own business, if it wasn't for the fact that I found martial art and stepped in that ring.
Yeah, and Nico, I'm curious to ask you how you define an elite male role model and the importance of infusing more elite men into a young man's life. How important do you think that is?
It's not important, it's crucial. All the statistic out there will show you that without a male presence, kids will not do well in school, or they'll do a lot worse in school. They'll drop out of school more. They have higher risks of being poor, of ending up on the street. And that applies to both kids that are men, that are female and male. They have a lot higher chances of becoming alcoholics, of becoming drug addicts. It's having a man figure in your life is crucial, and especially, but not only for boys, for girls too, because at the end of the day, you have to remember that her father is her first masculine love. It is the first man she loves. So if she doesn't have that father figure, or if she had a bad relationship with her father and she did not do the work, if she did not work on herself to understand this, she will never be able to have a good relationship. This is why the expression of she has daddy issues exists. That's exactly what it talks about. And, for boys, they need a masculine figure to teach them what it is to be a man. Look around you right now. Men don't know what it is to be a man. Most men now are eternal teenagers. They have been stuck in that loop since they're 14 years old, and they never grew up. They look old, they look like men, but they don't behave like them because they were never taught what it is to be a man. They were never put through rites of passages that used to exist in society, but today has completely been removed. So I know that you're probably going to ask, but considering that 40% of boys are living or being raised by a single mother, how do you put a man in their lives, in the boy's life, if for some reason that I'm not going to get into right now, but for some reason the father's not there, there's no grandfather, there's no friends of the mother, put them into martial art, put them into sports. It doesn't matter what the sport is. At the end of the day, great coaches will teach. A great coach is not necessarily there to just teach them a sport or a martial art. They're there to teach them about life through a shared passion that, let's say it's martial art. Let's say it's a martial art coach. He will teach you martial art, but at the end of the day, what he's trying to do is to teach you life lessons that he has learned through martial art because you are both passionate about it. But that's what a great coach does. Teach you life lessons through a shared passion.
Yeah, and Nico, one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast is I wanted to create more bridges of what I call unity and acceptance. So when we look at the concept of inclusion for all and acceptance, I'm wondering how you view that concept and what does that mean to you?
Define what you believe inclusive means. Define inclusive for me.
Inclusive to me means where everyone's can contribute to the conversation and progress, and their opinions can be heard, valued, and respected. So that's what inclusion means to me.
But don't you think it's a fallacy to believe that inclusive exists? Because life's not fair. Like, compare you and I right now. Like, you're the perfect example. You were not given the same card. You're not playing with the same cards I was given. I was given a very athletic body, and I've been in sports my whole life. I have athletic capabilities that a lot of people do not possess. You were not given the same opportunities when it comes to physicality. Life is not fair. Life is definitely not fair. But tell me how can you talk about exclusivity, how about inclusivity, sorry, and how everybody's opinion matters. But how can you really have an opinion as to what it takes to be a great athlete if you have no possibilities of being one yourself? Does your opinion matter at that point if you have no idea what it takes because you've never been through it? It's like me having an opinion on your illness and what it actually does to you when I have no clue what it is to, and I apologize for the expression, but to walk in your shoes.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that leads into my next question in terms of the power of self-reflection and really being present in life. So, what do you view when you view the concept of self-reflection and really finding your inner center? I'm curious, what does that mean to you?
To me, what you're describing right now leads to accountability. You ask me, how does a man or how does someone, what's the first step to someone finding what their purpose are, is to become accountable. If you do self-reflection and you analyze your actions and how much you've hurt people in your life, how much of them were selfish actions, if you reflect on who you are and your decisions and your actions, it will either make you a bigger victim or you will become accountable to say that, you know what? I have been a bad person throughout my life, but luckily I'm capable of changing it. If I have the power to be bad, I have the power to be good. And look around you right now. Every single problem that this society face can be attributed to one thing and one thing alone: accountability. Mm-hmm. Name the problem. There's somebody somewhere that did not want to do the work, that either blamed somebody else for their problems, that got lazy. Whatever the problem is, it always comes down to accountability. So I think that self-understanding or self-awareness is needed, crucial. It's impossible to have accountability if you do not have self-awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's without self-awareness, you can't create a competitive advantage in life, my friend, because everyone's portrait of success is different. So my final question for you this morning has to do with creating that competitive advantage. And what do you think goes into that when we create a competitive advantage in life? And the second part of that two-part question is, when you look at your own personal and professional legacy, my friend, how do you want that to be defined?
So the first part, how do you create a competitive advantage? First off, again, self-awareness. You need to know what your strengths are. You need to know what your natural strengths are. Obviously, you and I don't have the same strength. We might have some that overlaps, but chances are we don't have the same strength. So first off, self-awareness is key. If you want to have an advantage, understand what you are, understand what your skills are, your natural skills are, forget what your faults are, forget what your issues are, and develop those skills, those natural skills that you have. Develop them to the maximum of your ability, because this is where your strength, your competitive edge is going to come from. Develop courage, develop discipline, develop temperance in order to be able to go after everything that you want. You need courage no matter what. So self-awareness and courage are needed, if not crucial, to developing a competitive advantage, as you call it. Now, what was the second part of your question?
Yeah, I'm just curious, when you think about your own personal and professional legacy, how do you want your legacy to be defined in life, my friend?
I don't like the word legacy. I really don't like it, because everybody wants legacy, but they're not ready to work for it. So, and it becomes an obsession. Like legacy, I don't care. You know how I'm going to define it? The day that I face God, I want to be able to tell him that I did more good than bad. I don't remember where I got that from, but they were explaining that I think it's fair. I think it's in the Egyptian mythology that the day you face God, God will put your heart on a scale. And if it is lighter than a feather, it will indicate that you deserve to go into heaven because you have created more good than bad on your life in your life. And this is always my idea. I will have lived a great life if at the end of the day I can face God and tell him that I did more good than bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nico, finally tell me if people want to get connected with the good work that you do, my friend. What's the best way they can do that?
You can go to nicolagan.com. You can find me at Real Nico Lagan on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and you can find me at Nico Lagan on YouTube.
Oh, well, fantastic, my friend. I really enjoyed engaging in conversation about your life journey and perspective on life, my friend. Your work in the space of personal development of men and everything in between, my friend, is most appreciated. And I want to thank you for engaging in conversation and for joining me this morning. It's most appreciated.
Thank you again for the invitation. I really appreciate it, brother.